Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, can we please settle down? The program is about to commence.
Can we please settle down? All the brothers in the entrance. Those brothers who are at the desk, will you please settle down? Brother Shaheen, Hafiz Ismail Kolwadia. Get some more chairs. Just tell. Oh no. There's chairs right at the back. There's extra chairs at the back. About 4 or 5. Just tell my students to do it. So we can. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Respected brothers and sisters, indeed for us it's an honor and a pleasure to be in your midst this evening. And on behalf of the National General Council of SAHUC, the Board of SAHUC, the Provincial Executive Council of SAHUC, we welcome all the Hujjaj to be on this great occasion. To start off this program, we call upon Hafiz Qasim Katrada to recite for us from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا جدال في الحج وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقون يا أولو الألباب ليس عليكم جناح أن تبتغوا فضلا من ربكم فإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام واذكروه كما هداكم وإن كنتم من قبله لمن الضالين ثم أفيضوا من حيث أفاض الناس واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم فإذا قضيتم مناسككم فاذكروا الله كذكركم آباءكم أو أشد ذكرا فمن الناس من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وما له في الآخرة من خلاق ومنهم من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار أولئك لهم نصيب مما كسبوا والله سريع الحساب واذكروا الله في أيام معدودات فمن تعجل في يومين فلا إثم عليه ومن تأخر فلا إثم عليه لمن اتقى واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم إليه تحشرون بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah, Hafiz Qasim Qatrada. He has set the tone for this evening's program. Al-Hajj Ashhurum Ma'lumat, فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. I'm not going to make tafsir of this ayat. Those who are ready and on whom Hajj is farz, they should make their arrangement. And what is the best arrangement that a Haji can make? وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. And piety is the most important ingredient of this ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I know many of us are very excited when we've got our names and the SMSs that came that we are accredited. I must say, somebody called me when the accreditation was sent out an SMS, and this man called me. He said, Assalamu alaikum, Maulana, Qari Sahab, Mufti Sahab, I just want to tell you I'm accredited. I said, okay, Jazakallah. What time? 2 o'clock in the morning. He was so excited. I am so happy for him. And why shouldn't we be? There are people who are here. There are people from around the world who are so excited to go to Makkatul Mukarramah, who are so excited. For years they have this desire to see the Ka'batullah, and they want to visit Masjid al-Nabawi of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They want to go to Madinatul Munawwara. Why not? We should be excited. This trip is such a trip that every individual that goes on this trip has a different experience. There is no two persons that can tell me my trip and his trip were the same. Absolutely not. It's a different feeling. Every person's Hajj and every person's journey, he can speak volumes about it, and it's different. I want to welcome all those viewers on YouTube that are seeing us also live. We come from Johannesburg in South Africa. We welcome them also. Accreditation process, ministry, Hajj pricing, and contracting with an operator. What is it all about? I'm going to call upon Brother Shaheen Esaf, who is the president of SAHUC, and he is going to speak to us about the accreditation process, then the Ministry of Hajj pricing, how important is the contracting with the agent. So I know my brothers and sisters, many of you have your pens and paper and your page ready where you're going to write questions also. After Shaheen presents, then we will have a break for question and answers. So I know there are some people who have questions already. Please keep those questions ready. Brother Shaheen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we start, a phone was brought to the front. There's a name in the back here, Raiza Chotia. Is Raiza Chotia around? Jazakallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والعاقبة للمتقين وجنة الموحدين ولا عدوان إلا للظالمين. All praise and thanks is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and salutations on our noble master, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. On behalf of the National General Council and the Board of SAHUC, it gives me a great honor and pleasure to welcome you all here tonight. To the viewers out there on YouTube, a very big welcome as well on behalf of our NGC and our board. We say Alhamdulillah, Thumma Alhamdulillah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed Hajj to go back to the period before COVID-19. But before we commence with many of the points that are going to be discussed, I think it pertinent for us to remember those people whom have passed away in the previous years who were on the Hajj application and would not have had an opportunity or chance to perform Hajj. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant the marhumeen Jannatul Firdaus and Maghfirah inshallah. And we also seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them fulfillment of their niyyah with a Hajj Maqbool wa Mabrur inshallah. To you for Rahman, that is you, the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are not the guests of SAHUC. You are not the guests of a travel operator. You are not the guests of Muhammad bin Salman or King Salman or any of the ministerial processes in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You are the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have a title that has been provided to you. And let us ensure, inshallah, that we uphold that title with our heads up high, our chins up high, in order to fulfill the ibadah with the taqwa that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from us in that journey, inshallah. You have been accredited, those of you in here, in this audience who have been accredited, you have been selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to embark on this auspicious journey of a lifetime. Your wait, your angst is all over. And inshallah, we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants ease in your affairs to embark on the spiritual upliftment of the pinnacle of our deen. Just yesterday, I noticed something on social media where a comment was made about the exorbitant prices for the static costs in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. A lady who went for Hajj last year commented and said that they had budgeted a certain amount of money and they had basically prepared themselves in accordance to that. Obviously, last year, the pricing came out quite late and there was a very big unknown in this equation. And when the actual prices did come out, it was an additional 40,000 for that particular pilgrim. Now, when you sit down and you analyze this, it seems like a lot of money, but do not despair. Hujjaj of 2023, 1444. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has invited you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ensure that if your niyyah is right, and you are built for the journey that we are going to embark upon, then Allah will put everything in place for you to be on the plains of Arafah, inshallah. Nobody can tell you that you are not going to go. Nobody can tell you that you shouldn't go. Nobody can tell you anything. It is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. Allah reminds us all, Al-Hajjul Bayt man istata'a ilayhi sabila. Istita'a is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We may have the financial resources, we may be physically able, and our logistics may be in place, but there is a scarcity of quota, then istita'a is incomplete. So we need to understand why we have this application system and why we have this queue. As we are all aware, South Africa has received a quota of 2,500, and this is based on the ratio of 1,000 pilgrims per 1 million Muslims residing in the country. Our records reflect that we have 2.5 million Muslims in this country, and hence we have 2,500 quota. Some may argue and say SAHUC is doing nothing to try and increase that. We have made every effort, and I can put this on the table right now. My colleagues who were with me in the kingdom last year, we presented a letter for an additional 2,500 to the ministry, and we are hopeful, inshallah, whether they give us all or a portion thereof, we may get an increase sooner rather than later. We make dua for that, inshallah. The important factor to understand is that if we can prove to the Ministry of Hajj or to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that we may have 4 or 5 million Muslims in this country, immediately our quota will change. Our quota will change to 4,000 or 5,000. But we need to prove it, and our government needs to sign off on it. Census had taken place last year, and it is sad to say, in speaking to different people in different walks of life, most of our Muslim families did not complete the census. And as a result, we fall short of getting the correct numbers that we should be getting, inshallah. So over the years, from 2009 right through until now, SAHUC has gone through different iterations in terms of its application and accreditation process. And alhamdulillah, each time that we've gone through an iteration, it has been an improvement for the benefit of the Hujjaj, for this year, for next year, and for the future Hujjaj that are coming in 5 to 10 years' time and even beyond that. Applicants will apply online, as you are aware, and are queued according to after completing the application with the complete form of payment and put into a queue, date and time priority. Now, we have several times been questioned by people, is this a legit system? Is this a transparent system? Is this system fair and equitable? It is the only equitable and fair and transparent system that you are going to have for Hajj in this country. Other countries around the world have asked us how we've done it and want to replicate it as well. Alhamdulillah, if we talk about other countries in the world, our quota now, or shall I say our waiting list now, is probably between 8 and 12 years on a 2,500 quota. Malaysia, for example, they get 37,000 people for Hajj. They have a 70-year waiting list. Indonesia has 230,000 pilgrims. They have over 110 years on a waiting list. So it's not unique to South Africa. Every other country around the world has the same problem. In some parts of the world, Hujjaj over the age of 45 are only allowed to perform Hajj. In other parts, over 60 are only allowed to perform Hajj. So we have a great mix of people. In the years that have gone by, our average age, alhamdulillah, has been between 35 and 45. And that is the people that have been going for Hajj. Yes, we've had people over the age of 60, 70, and 80. But we've had a tremendous amount of people between the ages of 20 and 40. And that has helped us to bring the age group, or shall I say, the age average down considerably. So all applicants will start with 100 points, and those that are repeat pilgrims or applicants will obviously have negative marking, and that is all on the website. Repeat males can serve as a mahram. Unfortunately for the females, because we have a scarcity of quota, we cannot re-accredit a female. Because if you give a female who's going to perform a nafil ibadah, you are basically taking away the visa from a person who is going to perform a fard ibadah. And that needs to be understood, because a fard will always supersede a nafil ibadah in that regard. We have now come to the point in our system where the accreditation process takes place. Everybody has been accredited from the 2500, and now the question is, what do we do? You're either going to accept accreditation if all your affairs are in order, and then you are going to make the necessary payment of 1,650 rands per person. And let me just elaborate on that payment. That is a service fee that goes into the repatriation of a mission to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a medical mission, as well as medicines that will be served for you. In the years 2016, 2017, and 2018, we had between 2,500 and 4,000 pilgrims. Average on each year, we saw between 16 and 18,000 pilgrims during the Hajj period, which means people come repeatedly. If you work that out and you ask yourself what it costs you to go to a doctor, if you go 3 times to our clinic, your 1,500 or 1,600 rand has been depleted. And we're not even taking into account the meet and greet at Jeddah, the meet and greet at Medina, etc. So the money that you spend with SAHUC goes into the service of the pilgrim in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. None of us sitting here on the board or anywhere in the NGC earn a salary from SAHUC. This we do fi sabilillah, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all have day jobs, and alhamdulillah, that's where we earn our rizq and we earn our keep from there. Once you've been accredited, you accept your accreditation, you make the necessary payment, the system will now direct you to an operator of your choice. You do not have to select the operator right now. You have until the 11th of February for that purpose. Operators do not have pricing as yet, because the Kingdom hotels have not yet released pricing for Hajj. And as a result, they have not yet packaged it together. Right now, the only pricing we have is from the Muassasa and from the ministry in regards to the static costs that every pilgrim will have to endure going into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, please don't feel that it's a one-sided thing, because SAHUC's mission also pays for its visa. We also have to pay insurance. So those are things that we also have to cover, from the monies that we receive from your service payments that we get. So alhamdulillah, you've now selected your operator. Question that you have to ask yourself is, are you ready to sign a contract? Have you discussed with your operator the various programs, the various packages that the operator is going to give you? Are you prepared to stay in Azizia longer than you're going to stay in Makkah? Are you going to stay 8 nights in Medina? Are you going to stay 5 nights in Medina? All these things that you discuss with your operator needs to be put down into a contract. Do not sign a blank contract. Never ever sign a blank contract. It is a sunnah for having contracts between 2 people when you're engaging in business. But it is more important not to place everything in trust and say, don't worry, I know the guy, I'm signing the contract, and he's going to fill in everything afterwards. Wallahi, we've had tons and tons of issues in the past years when something like that occurs. So please, make sure that you agree on everything, make sure everything is written down, and then sign the contracts. Our new system that we've actually just launched a few months ago, and that this accreditation process is running through, is going to be so unique that you can actually go and electronically sign your contract on the system. It will be there for us to see. It will be there for you to see. It will be there so that there's not a lot of paperwork running around between people and I lost this or I left this at home. Our people in the kingdom have a dispute with the operator and yourself. We can pull up the contract and we can say, right, you were offered a 4-star hotel. They've given you a 3-star hotel. We need to sort this out. But I have to just tell you and I have to warn you. Alhamdulillah, and I say this, with a tremendous amount of pride. I've been with SAHUC since 2005. And in the latter years, we've had phenomenal cooperation with the operators in serving the pilgrim. And the success of Hajj from South Africa is as a result of the cooperation between the accredited Hajj operators and SAHUC field on the ground, team on the ground. So you are going to be in good hands, whether it be with the operator, whether it be with the SAHUC team. You're always going to be in good hands. And be understanding that some of you, majority of you are first timers. We have been there many years over and over again. The lay of the land is what we know. And we are not going to do something or take you into a situation that is going to endanger you or that is going to get you into trouble or get you hurt. Our purpose is to look after you, to make sure that you can perform your ibadah without the worry of logistics, without the worry of treachery, without the worry of, you know what, I'm going to go into a stampede. None of that is going to happen if you pay attention and you follow the rules of what the mission tells you and what your Hajj operator and their leaders in the kingdom tell you, and basically work according to that process, inshallah. So coming back to the contracts, make sure that everything is written down, make sure everything is signed, and then you are going to be ready to go. Now, a lot of people have asked us for different types of advice in Hajj. Hafiz Ismail is in Hajj. Hafiz Ismail is a seasoned head of mission. He's been with us for many years. He's going to lead you, together with Dr. Razia Khan, into the discussion regarding what SAHUC can do for you on the ground in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But some advices from me in terms of where we are. Always think about this. We're going into their summer. Let's pack lightly. Let's make sure that we've got adequate, provisions for ourselves, clothing, etc., that we need to take with us. Shoes are important, men and women. Make sure that when you're buying shoes, buy it now and start wearing it now. Tramp it out. Make sure that you're not going to have blisters. Don't take thick socks with you. Take socks that is going to work for that particular pair of shoes. For the men, if you're wearing your ihram sandal or your champal, get used to it. It's not something that you wear every day. Learn to walk and learn to sit on the floor for long periods of time. Those are the two things that you're going to do a lot of in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And please, the one thing that I want you to please understand, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Last year we reached temperatures of between 48 and 52 degrees on the 5 days of Hajj. We need to make sure that we're hydrated. A lot of people don't want to hydrate themselves because they're scared of the bathrooms. Muaz will show you some pictures a little bit later where you can see the improvements in the bathrooms by comparison to 5 or 10 or 15 years back. Besides the hydration, folks, I want to make this very, very clear. I'm not an alim, but I want to make it clear. A lot of people are of the misconception that if you do a walking Hajj, you're going to get 70 to 100 times more sawab. If we want to follow the sunnah of our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he performed Hajj on a conveyance. And he only made one Hajj in his life. That Hajj was done on the back of a camel. We now have a bus as a conveyance. Now, if we don't walk enough in South Africa, and we want to walk 12 k's in one direction and 19 k's in another direction in 48 or 50 degrees heat, we've got another thing coming. Like Hafiz Sahib one day put it very, very nicely. He says, you'll have input versus output, and then you're going to be kaput on the day of Arafah. So we don't want you to be kaput because we don't want to have drips in you. You must be making ibadah and make dua for us and the people of South Africa and the people of the world, inshallah. If you're taking chronic medication, make sure you take a letter from your doctor and carry sufficient chronic medication for the full duration of your trip outside of South Africa. Pharmacies in the kingdom sometimes don't keep the same chronic medication that we do. They may keep inferior product, and that may end up with disastrous medical effects for you. Again, pack light. Make sure you don't take anything that is not permissible to take into the country, narcotics, etc. Because when you get to the airport and they check you and they find something on you, SAHUC can't help you. Please understand that. That is not something that SAHUC is there to help you with. Because you brought it in knowing that you shouldn't be traveling with it. When you're taking cash out of this country, make sure that you have a bank receipt. We've had instances in the past where people have walked out of OR Tambo with cash. The security stops them, STARS stops them. They get delayed for their flight and the flight leaves them. Hajj operator is not responsible for that flight change. If you've lost a ticket for that flight, you've lost a day or two in Medina, that's on your head. It's not on the head of the Hajj operator. Neither is it on the head of SAHUC. We need to be very clear about this. You must have the necessary documentation when you're carrying money out of the country. And please don't carry large sums of cash. Today, technology is so good, you can take your ATM card from South Africa. There are ATMs all over in Makkah, Medina, in Mina as well. You can withdraw money if you need money, so there's absolutely no necessity for you to do so. All you have to do is make sure that your withdrawal limits are in line with what you need to withdraw in terms of, the bank charges and the conversion rates, etc. I'm going to call a close to my discussion at this point in time, and then I'm going to ask the floor to open up for questions if there are any questions, so that we can make it more interactive. And I don't want to put people to sleep. I do know that it's a Friday afternoon, and after lovely lunch after Jummah, a lot of people want to go to sleep early, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan for your attention. Any questions from the floor?
Jazakallah, Shaheen. Do we have any roaming mics? Ahmed, please. If there's any questions, we'll take about 4 or 5 questions at a time, and then we'll answer those questions. Is there any questions? Shaheen mentioned something very important. Abdurrahman, yes, Shaheen mentioned something very important is many of us, we are ready for Hajj. Many of you may have read many kitabs already. If I have to ask you, you'll be able to tell me about Hajj better than what I know about Hajj. But one is theory, and the other is the practicality of it. There was a man who wrote a book on Hajj. His name was Mullah Ali Qari. He was a man who taught Hajj for years. He was a master. He was an authority on it. But when he went for Hajj, when he stood at Hajar Aswad, and he thought to himself, now I need to make tawaf. Instead of going right towards Muqam Ibrahim, he started going left. A young lad met him, stopped him and said, Ya Sheikh, if you start making tawaf, you go to the right towards Maqam Ibrahim. And if you don't know about Hajj, read the book of Mullah Ali Qari, and he was the author of it. Any questions, brother? I know there's a brother standing there. Please, just give us your name. Riyadh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I have 2 questions, if permissible, right? Please. I haven't performed Hajj before. My wife has performed Hajj somewhat 20 odd years ago, right? I get punished or penalized because, from a points perspective, because my wife has performed Hajj. So my points would sit at 85. I understand that if one of a linked couple is performing Hajj for a person who's performed Hajj over 15 years ago, the points deduction is 20 points, but then it's halved, so it's split amongst both parties. I should be sitting on 90 points, but I'm sitting on 85 points. I mean, for me to perform Hajj, I'd like to do it with my wife. I can't, because I'm being penalized for my wife performing Hajj 20 years ago. So I need some clarity on the point system, and will that be reviewed?
Before we give you clarity on the point system, there's a very simple solution.
Yeah, come here.
In terms of prejudice, there's no prejudice in this regard. It's rules, unfortunately, and as I explained it a little bit earlier, repeat females are not going to be given that because of scarcity of quota. You could possibly get 100 points if you just delinked from your wife and go and perform your farad. I know every person's dream or every person's want to stand on the plains of Arafah with your wife. If we had a quota of 10,000, believe me, we'd be able to accommodate that. We have a quota of 2,500, and right now we've got 46,000 people in the queue of first-time category Hujjaj. It's very difficult to say yes to you, because then there'll be a queue of 1,000 other people. Our quota is 2,500. If we give 1,000 repeats, 1,500 first-timers, we're sitting with a problem.
Okay, understood.
So my advice to you, de-link from your wife and go and perform Hajj. Okay. Take her for Umrah. Allahu Akbar. Allah will accept, inshallah.
All right. A second question on the subject of scarcity, right? I'd say the single biggest job of SAHUC would be to secure as many pilgrims for South Africa, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're not doing your job, but if I recall correctly, back in 2005, the quota or allocation to South Africa was 7,000 pilgrims. It is now, almost 20 years later, we're sitting on 2,500 pilgrims. Is there any reason specifically why? Is it the Saudi government just limiting South African pilgrims?
It's not limiting South Africa alone, sir. The Saudi government does not have space on Mina. Mina is 1.86 square kilometers in its measurement. And that measurement has been there from the time of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. They have been fighting for the last 30 years to expand the Mashair into Azizia, which the ulama have fought against because of it being Mashair al-Muqaddas. It is a very auspicious place where Hajj is performed. And as a result of that, they have limited the numbers. So in 1988, actually, so 2005 is a very big fallacy that you're putting out there. In 1988, the Saudi government reached out to the OIC, which is the Organization of Islamic Countries, and said to them, look at the ratio of Muslims around the world and work out what is going to be the best for us to accommodate enough pilgrims in our country. And that is why they came up with a ratio of 1,000 per 1 million. When it comes to South Africa's census, if I asked everybody in this room to raise their hands now and say, who filled out the census last year? I can guarantee you now that we won't have 80% of the people lifting their hands. Because this is just our nature. We don't do that. We have asked our government, we have reached out to the Stats SA department to give us a finite number. And let me just take you a step back. Qari Musa was with me on one of the trips where we had our previous president there. The deputy minister at the time, his name was Hatim Qadi. He said the United Nations has you recorded as 986,000 Muslims, to which you are entitled to 1,000 only pilgrims. Which you are entitled to only 1,000 pilgrims. We have said to them, this is totally irrational. We should not be 1,000 because but at the end of the day, we need to understand that this is not something that SAHUC as an NGO can drive. We have driven it as best we can. And we are hopeful. You know, if the ministry came to us tomorrow and said to us, here's 10,000, believe me, we'll fill the 10,000 within a flash. The problem, unfortunately, is they want a sign-off from our government. And our government is not prepared to sign off if they don't have official statistics. Jazakallah khair, brother. We can engage with further discussion later. Give others an opportunity as well. Thank you. Please.
If any of the brothers or sisters want to write their questions, if anybody wants to write their questions and just pass it over here, we'll read it out for you. Jazakallah. Please, will you just stay away from the speakers, Fatima? Please. Is there anybody else? Okay, here's a question.
Okay.
If I chose an operator on the 10th and thereafter the operator does not meet our needs, can we change an operator, and what are the restrictions, if any?
With regards to the change of operators, you are allowed to select an operator and make the necessary change as long as you have not signed a contract. But it is not open-ended. You will probably have no more than 72 hours thereafter to select a second operator and conclude your contracting with that operator. Remember, the 11th of February is the deadline. Obviously, if there's no packages out by then, we will have to review that date. But at this point in time, the 11th of February is the date. If you select an operator and you haven't signed a contract and you want to move to another, you will notify SAHUC in writing and we will do the transfer to another operator, provided you did not sign a contract with that operator in question. Sister, before you, we're going to take some more of these questions that has been written.
My mom was accredited in 2020, special case. as we had my daughter delinked and added my mum because all her mahrams were accredited in 2020. However, this year she has not been accredited. She is 67 years of age.
I think what you need to do is you need to just write to the office. We're not going to deal with case-by-case situation. There is a committee that deals with this, and the committee will review it and determine whether there's merit in the accreditation or not.
My name is on the list, but I have not received any notifications from SAHUC. My name is on the list, and I have not received any notification from SAHUC.
Alhamdulillah, then please go on to the system and accept your accreditation. Unfortunately, with anything that's new, you do have glitches. We are not infallible. We do apologize that people did not get SMSs or emails of the accreditation. There was a glitch with our system in terms of the release of the accreditation list. It produced the list, it accredited people, it publicized it on the website, and no SMSs were sent out. We are aware of it. It has been fixed and repaired, and inshallah, going forward, there won't be any issues. But all those who are still sitting here who have seen their names on the list, go onto your system, log on with your ID number and your application reference number, and accept your accreditation, please.
Question number 2, the first one is answered. Question number 2, how do we budget and give an answer of acceptance without any price information from operators?
Again, that is why we've given 2 weeks for acceptance. Acceptance is until the 1st of February, and then another 2 weeks after that to take up an operator by the 11th of February. So there is sufficient time, inshallah. We're hopeful that the operators will get their pricing from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
When will the next accreditation list come out?
The next accreditation list normally comes out after all queries were resolved, after the closing date on the 1st of February. We review all the queries, which we have already started doing, queries that have come into the office. And inshallah, once we close off at the end of business on the 1st of February, we then go through the queries, do what is necessary, and then we'll release a second accreditation list.
Camp D. Why is South Africa been offered Camp D as opposed to Camp C that had been offered previously? What is the difference? Jazakallah.
So the difference is a change in the whole process in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Privatization with the Muassasa has resulted in all offerings coming in on the basic services of Camp D. Our Muassasa this year has indicated that although they've given us the Camp D offering, the services will be to the levels of Camp C plus and Camp B. We make dua that they fulfill their obligation and fulfill their words in that regard.
I was accredited for Hajj. I got now divorced, and I got no mahram. My brother and his wife are on the waiting list. Can he be my mahram and take his wife with? I de-linked my ex-husband.
Unfortunately, when we start doing this, it becomes an anomaly and it becomes a deviation from date and time priority. If your brother and his wife are on the waiting list, and you want to go with him as a result of a mahram, then perhaps you must queue with him. I don't know how far back he's queued. I'm just giving advice because I'm speaking blind without information. However, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has made it clear that there is no requirement for a mahram anymore. Females that can travel in a group and go for Hajj. However, we understand different madahib have different rules. So it's entirely your call. If your brother is going to be your mahram, then unfortunately his wife will not be pulled up onto the list.
What are the restrictions they are going to the Rawda, Tawaf, etc.? That's the first question. An estimation on the date of the second list. Answered already. What happens if you haven't chosen an operator by the 11th? Can you extend it by a few days?
Okay, we're going to start with the last one first. No, you can't extend it by a few days because you've been given enough opportunity and enough time with regards to the selection of an operator. Obviously, once you've accepted the operator within a period of 72 hours, you need to conclude your contracting with that operator. If you don't conclude your contracting and you want to swap to another operator, you are allowed to do that, but that is only going to be a once-off situation. It's not open-ended. In terms of restrictions going on to the Roda and the Mataf, in the Roda, you have to apply on the Nusuk application system. It's an app on the phone that basically will allow you entry into the Roda for men and for women. In terms of Tawaf, last Hajj, in the early stages, only people with ihram could come on and perform their Umrah. For the period of Hajj to come and perform Tawaf Ziyarah and Tawaful Wida, everybody was allowed onto the Mataf. So there was no restriction in that regard.
Jazakallah. Is there? Yes, sister, please.
I saw on your website, on Instagram, it said that last accreditation was 13th April 2015. The person was last accredited. However, I found 30 people who were ranging from 2015 until 2020 that were accredited. So based on date and time, and what you explained that you're accredited based on date and time, can you give an explanation for the 30?
Certainly can. Again, unfortunately, a glitch in the system, but I can assure you that those people's application date fall within the 13th of April 2015, so earlier than that. The date that they have there are either late dates of a person that has been linked to that application, and that was the payment date. So in other words, you have a female that has applied early, you have a mahram that has applied later, they get linked together. The date that was taken was the later date of the mahram's payment date that was reflected for that 29 or 30. Believe me, you're more than welcome to come and sit with us and we'll show it to you, but there is absolutely nothing untoward. It was an error on the system. More than anything else, everybody who has been accredited falls within the date from 2009 to the 13th of April 2015. Okay? Jazakallah. There was a question that people asked about the camps, Camp D services. I did not give you people a breakdown into the prices. I think it was very self-explanatory when we sent out the press release in terms of the camp cost and the breakdown of the cost, the tanazzul, etc. Now, a lot of times we are asked, can we use the train? Yes, you can use the train, but that train comes at an additional cost because the tanazzul is a tax that you pay in, and the train cost is something totally different. It's a private transport facility. It's almost the same as if you get into Medina, you want to go to Makkah and you say, I want to use a GMC. Your operator arranges the GMC for you. You're paying that totally separate from your tanazzul that you paid. Now, we're going to publicize this. I'm not going to ask everybody to see it, but these are the prices. It's a minimum, intermediate, and maximum pricing. But the thing I wanted to show everybody about the train, I'm sure that picture, most can see on the screen. That picture is of a bag size and a hand carry bag on the train. South Africans in general, we love to carry 2 big cases because the airline tells us 2 by 23 kilos, and we get to Medina and we think Taiba Center is going to close down tomorrow, and we do all our shopping in Taiba Center, and now we got to get a truck to bring the bags to Makkah. The operator's problem now, because he sold you a ticket that said 2 by 23 kilos, but you got 2 by 23 kilos, you got a backpack, you got an overnight bag. Alhamdulillah, Allah says, spend your money in His path and He'll give you tenfold over that. So your bags that you allowed is 1 bag plus 1 hand luggage on the train. People need to understand that, so when your operator tells you, you're going to have to pay for the transport for your second bag, please understand that that is all part of the process if you're going to use the train, which takes you 1.5 to 2 hours from Medina to Makkah. It's fantastic. It goes at 300 k's an hour, and really a phenomenal experience. So if there are any other questions, we can go through them, or otherwise after the rest of the speakers.
Is it still a requirement to have COVID vaccine for Hajj? And the other question is, what is the ruling on performing Hajj Badal? What if Camp D is situated outside the border of Mina?
Okay, let's start with the third one first. If Camp D is outside the border of Mina, then we've got problems, because then you've got to serve one camp and another camp. At this point in time, alhamdulillah, we've been told that all our camps are inside the borders of Mina. We make dua that it remains that way, inshallah. Many people have asked me, last year we had the price for Camp A, 13,000 riyals. Now let's work that out at 4.6 to the riyal. It's almost 85, 90,000 rand. So someone said to me, what's the difference between the two? I said, it's very simple. When we were all lighties, we used to run to the Taj Bioscope in 17th Street, or the Lyric around the corner here, or the Majestic down the road. In Lens, they used to go to the Apsara, or the I think it's a Tahiti, not sure. But anyway, when you were young, you used to waste money on things like that. You got older, you started wasting money on bigger things. The more older you get, you waste money on bigger things. Look at different things. So what's the motto and the moral of the story? The only reason you pay so much money for Camp A services is to be close to the Jamarat. So the more money you waste, the closer you get to Shaitan. Please understand that with the jest that it deserves. Jazakallah khairan, everyone.
I know there's other questions also. We have another session after this. Then we will go to that one, if you don't mind. Don't forget the question. Hujjaj, you look very serious, man. You people look very, very serious. I know all of you have learned the Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik already. Please, men, just let us hear that you are ready to read that when you go, when you put on your ihram and you are ready to read. Start, let's read. Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk, la sharika lak. Louder, brothers. Labbaik. Let your wife hear that you know it. Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk, la sharika lak. Jazakallah. I call upon Hafiz Muaz Kasu to come and do a Hajj presentation for us. Hafiz Muaz.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I trust that you're all doing well. So in the past, doing these Hajj awareness programs, we used to normally just talk about your experience or what's going to happen in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the logistics, the departures, and people visualize and have sort of some sort of a vision of what to expect in the kingdom. And what we've noticed this year on Hajj, that when people arrive in the kingdom, some of them are overwhelmed with what they see from the time of arrival at the airports, when they come to Medina, when they need to travel to Mecca, also in Mecca, in Azizia and Mina. So we're going to go through a quick presentation, just giving everyone an overview of how it's going to look in reality based on the past Hajj. So I'm going to start with the departures from South Africa. So many a times, looking on social media, I find a lot of people asking, where is SAHUC? We don't see SAHUC. Now here, a picture speaks 1,000 words. This is one of the airports in the country. SAHUC is present at every departure as well as every arrival. You will find us always, and in the SAHUC uniform, people with the bibs, and you will never miss them at the airport here in South Africa. And believe you me, when it comes to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, people smile and they are happy when they see us, when they exiting the airport in Medina or Jindatul Munawwara. So you will find that SAHUC is always present. As you can see, this is Johannesburg International Airport. These are our members present. And here's some of our senior members when they are departing South Africa as the first delegation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is what the airport is going to look like. Now, normally people travel, you go overseas or you go Durban, you don't see crowds like this at the airport. Believe you me, you find a couple of hundred people, but when it comes to Hajj, at times it can be thousands of people depending on the amount of people that are going on Hajj. It is so nice to see, and the atmosphere is overwhelmed because all the family members come to the airport to bid farewell to all the Hujjaj and just to see every one of you cry. It is beautiful and really amazing. So as you can see, there's other footage from the airports. And this is prior to going into customs. And this is where a lot of people get scared and afraid because people that hide their money and people got their jewelry and they're scared to go through customs. I'm seeing one of the EXA members here. He knows what I'm talking about. But it won't happen if you declare the monies that you're taking out with SARS. You shouldn't have a problem. You shouldn't have a fear. Inshallah, you'll have a smooth exit from OR Tambo. And just on that point, SAHUC officials will always be there. We have access right to the aeroplane. So if anyone is stopped by the officials and you're afraid, please reach out to our members. They will assist you. Arrival in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Madinatul Munawwara International Airport. Now, before I go to this picture, the last Hajj and maybe this Hajj, depending if Saudi Airlines is going to resume their flights. If they don't resume their flights in time, most of you will fly via Emirates or Etihad, Egypt Airlines, Ethiopian Airlines, and you're going to go and sit in transit at another international airport. At times, you could be in transit for an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. Believe you me, it sounds like a lot of time, but when you arrive in these airports, take Dubai as an example, those airports are huge, and 2 hours flies very fast. And some of you that are traveling for the first time, you get very overwhelmed with the shops and what they have available to sell and to eat, and people just want to go and shop. But believe you me, you could miss your flight. And like the President advised, if you miss your flight, that's for your own account. No operator, no SAHUC will be responsible for you. So please ensure, if you arrive at those airports, go and find your gate, because some terminals, you need to take a train to reach your terminal. There's salah facilities, toilets, clean, wuzu facilities as well. Once you reach your terminal, you know you are safe, you can wander around, at least you've got time on your hands. Madinatul Munawwara, I think this will be very emotional for most of you when you see this sign heading into Medina. And this is arrival at the airport. So when you're coming into Madinatul Munawwara, as you exit the terminals on your left-hand side, you will find this welcoming sign from the Ministry of Hajj. This is the Hajj terminal in Madinatul Munawwara. Currently, at the moment, we do not exit through the Hajj terminal because we don't have a large contingency and we don't have large flights. These are only for large flights coming out of Medina. They will use the Hajj terminal. We're just showing you the footage. In the event we are asked to use the Hajj terminal in Medina, you can at least know what these photos are and you can recall what it looks like. So this is how the Hajj terminal looks in Medina. As you can see, a lot of space. It looks empty now. Believe you me, when there's Hujjaj here, you can get overwhelmed. And there's always buses waiting for you. So if you remember, we've published the Tanazzul pricing. Your buses will be ready. They'll be available. SAHUC members will be at the airport to receive you. From the time you exit the gates of customs, you've got 7 minutes to get to your bus. That is the timing that we are given. So please, when you see the SAHUC officials informing you that you need 7 minutes to move, please cooperate with them. These are not our rules. These are the rules from the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah. And the reason for that is because they've got thousands of flights coming in, and the Medina airport is very small in comparison to Jeddah airport. So when you do arrive there, you'll see it is very narrow, very short. And if they let people wander around, there'll be no space for people to exit at the airports. This is how the airport looks from the outside. And you'll always see the SAHUC team available. You can see in the uniform, in the kit, and in the middle in the suit, that is our Consul General in Jeddah. He's most of the time present when he's in Medina. He will be there to welcome you, and it's mostly for the initial flights. Thereafter, he's got to continue with his work. Arrival in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Jeddah Hajj Terminal or Jeddah International Airport. Majority of South Africans would land in Medina. There's a very few, maybe 20% of our Hajis would arrive in Jeddah, and from there they would take a bus to Madinatul Munawwara. So for those of you that are going to arrive in Jeddah, this is what it's going to look like. This is the new airport. It's really phenomenal, beautiful. This is the Hajj terminal. You'll always find the SAHUC members. On the left-hand side, it's on my right-hand side, is one of the SAHUC members we lost this year on Hajj, this past Hajj. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fill his qabr with nur and grant him the highest stages in Jannah. He was serving the guests of Allah during this past Hajj, and he passed away during the Hajj season. This is the Hajj terminal in Jeddah. As you can see, it's very spacious. In the past, if people can recall those men who have been there and are serving as mahram, there wasn't these such structures. It was just open, and you would sit out in the open. Now they've got air-conditioned rooms. It's very cool in these rooms. So while you're waiting for your bus, you'll be put in these locations. And the buses are always there waiting for the Hujjaj. And the bus will never leave until the head count is done. So every SAHUC member that is at the airport, along with the wukala who are there to service you when you arrive into the kingdom, will make sure there's a count of the people that have arrived, and they'll ensure that that same count gets onto the bus before it leaves. If you're not on the bus, they won't leave until every member's on the bus, unless we prove to them that a person has missed his flight, and then only will they continue. So this is what the new international airport looks like. Really, really beautiful, alhamdulillah. So this in front is a new iconic fish tank that is at the Jeddah airport. Behind this fish tank is basically the arrival terminal where you would come out. And on the other side of the fish tank is the train terminal for those that will be catching the train either to Medina or to Mecca. So this is just something that you would see the moment you come out of international arrivals at the Jeddah International Airport. This footage is of the Hajj terminal from the outside, where you saw the buses and you saw the space where everyone will be seated. This is basically just a footage of the Hajj terminal from the outside. So if you're arriving at the airport or departing, you would see this footage and you'll know you're at the Hajj terminal. The Haramain speed train, I think everybody that goes to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, whether it be for Hajj or for Umrah, everybody wants to experience this train for one reason. They want to go on a train that travels at 300 kilometers an hour. Believe you me, it is fantastic, fabulous, it is lovely. If you can, get the opportunity, speak to your operator, go on this train. But the baggage becomes a challenge because they only allow, like Uncle Shane mentioned, one 20-kilo large bag, one laptop bag, and one hand luggage. That's it. And other than that, you don't have more than that to carry on the train. This is what the terminal looks like in Medina. There, once again, SAHUC is there to meet the members that come on the train. SAHUC is there to make sure that people get onto a taxi. Here's footage of people about to board the train. Here's the terminals before you go into the train station. And this is the waiting area prior to boarding on the train. This is what the train looks like inside. Those screens on top, they would show you the speed that the train travels at from the starting point till the end point. They also serve meals, they serve drinks on the train. You can walk at that speed of 300 kilometers, there's no seat belts worn. It's a fantastic ride. And it takes about 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40 minutes from Medina back to Jeddah. I'm going to show you some footage of Madinatul Munawwarah. I think everyone gets overwhelmed and excited, and it brings you to tears when you see this footage for the first time. This is basically a footage of one of the operator groups. So when you arrive in Madinatul Munawwarah, your operator will inform you what time is the ziyarat and what time you will meet at the haram, and he'll advise you which gate you will meet at, and you will go with your operator to the Rawda and to make salami. All that arrangements will take place between you and your operator, and they will inform you on your group. This is basically the section where they would let everyone wait. Once you made a booking for the Rawda, you will need to go wait in a different pen location prior to going into the Rawda to perform your salah and to make salami. This wait can take anything between 1 to 2 hours depending on the time you go and the time your booking is done. Sometimes you make individual bookings, and sometimes they allow group bookings where the operator is allowed to make for the entire group. We're not too sure what the rules will be Hajj time, but the past Hajj, the operators were allowed to make group bookings for the entire group, which made it a lot easier for everyone to get their bookings and to go to the Rawda. These are the crowds. This is what we're looking at. So even if it tells you you need to be there at 6 o'clock, believe me, when you arrive at 6 o'clock, you see this amount of people standing in a line, and you just got to wait. There's nothing you can do. There's no bribery, no corruption. You wait for your turn, and you'll go, inshallah. Here's some footage showing you once the people have spent their time in Madinatul Munawwara, it is time now to leave and you are departing from Makkatul Mukarramah. Once again, your operator will advise you accordingly of the times you need to be ready and the times you'll need to take your bus. So all the foyers will be buzzing, everybody will be waiting for their buses, and you will liaise with your operator at the times and ensure you've got your luggage and everything ready for you. Like you can see, the buses are always waiting for you, and when your bus arrives, you will get onto your bus and it will depart to take you either to the train station or it will take you direct to Makkatul Mukarramah, depending on the arrangements that are made with you and your operator. This is Masjid al-Quba. I know most people go in the day, but it would be nice for you to go during the night. It's fantastic, very empty. So see if you can get a chance, speak to your operator. Some footage of Makkatul Mukarramah. Once again, you will see this once you come in for your Umrah. This is Safa Marwa. It looks very empty now. Believe you me, Hajj time, there's no space to move. And with 2.5 million people coming for Hajj this year, it's going to be fairly full. These are the carts that are used for people who struggle to walk in Safa Marwa. You can hire these carts. Once again, the SAHUC members and the ministry are here to welcome you at the airports when you arrive. These are the buses of the Hujjaj when they are leaving to Makkatul Mukarramah to perform Umrah. Once again, when you arrive in Makkatul Mukarramah at your hotel, the SAHUC members are there to welcome you at your hotel to ensure you've arrived safely. These are just footage showing you of Makkatul Mukarramah, Safa Marwa. Here's the crowds in the Haram just after Salah. These are the crowds outside. People always want to visualize how busy it is. Now you can see how busy it is outside the Haram. So with the Tawaf, they're only allowing people with Ihram at the moment. You would find that the Mataf is not busy as before, so alhamdulillah it becomes easy for people to perform the Umrah. I'm going to show you some footage of accommodation from basic to, let's call it 5-star in Azizia. So these are your basic rooms that you would get, 4 people in a room. Some people would offer 2 sleepers for couples, but these are how the rooms look like. That's your shower. These are your toilets and your shower in Azizia. And now here's the 5-star in Azizia. Obviously, depending on which one you're going to choose, will come at a different price. You'll need to speak to your operator and find out from them what are they offering you. These are rooms in Azizia, these are hotel rooms, and you can see the difference between the two is chalk and cheese. But the price is as well. SAHUC orientation in Azizia. Every year prior to Hajj, just before the 5 days, SAHUC goes around to every single hotel and we provide feedback to the Hujjaj from what we've been informed by the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah with regards to Hajj, with regards to the timelines, with regards to pelting times, with regards to the movement. And we will come to your hotel and answer all the questions and your concerns prior to Hajj. So as you can see, we do come around and we will be there for you again this year, inshallah. Mina. This is for the 5 days of Hajj. This is what Mina looks like. This is last year's camps. As you can see, the mattresses, inshallah, this year it might be a bit different. We'll wait and see when we get to the kingdom. But just to give you an idea what Mina looks like, this is the camp that you'll be sleeping in. Here's the toilets, men and women. On the right is the men, the women on the left-hand side. The wuzu facility is in the middle for the women and for the men on the other side. This is how the toilet looks for the low pen. You can see there's a shower head on top for those who want to shower. And this is for the high pen. I think it's important you look at this and you understand, because this is what you're going to get when you go on the 5 days of Hajj. There's nothing different, and this is Camp D. This is what it's going to look like. This is just the entrance of the Mina, non-special services. Now this is special services, and the price is 3 times what Camp D is, maybe 4 times. We don't have the prices yet, but this is what it looks like. You can see the difference. There's enough space, enough room, nice beds. Now we move to Arafat. Whether you special services, non-special services, everyone's got to go to Arafat. We believe that these camps will be revamped. They've already started construction. They're putting prefabs this year, inshallah. So it will look a bit different. Jabal Rahmah in Arafat. These are the crowds. This is the road that you'll be walking to. As you can see, here's a toilet facility. This is a camp. This is what the camps look like in Arafat. There's no sleeping facilities. You're there for a few hours. Women in one camp, men in a different camp. If you had one operator, you have the same group, they might put women and men together with a small separation. But this is what the camps look like in Arafat. You will see blowers in the camp, but sometimes they don't work because of the amount of people trying to pull power at the same time. Similar to how we have load shedding, they have the same thing on Arafat. Teng juice, this is something you will get, inshallah, when you're in Arafat. SAHUC provides this. Believe you me, it's the best drink you'll ever have on the 5 days of Hajj. Muzdalifah is the night of the million stars. You sleep on the floor, sleep on the ground. This is the reality. Whether you're rich, poor, this is where you're going to reside. So whether you took special services or non-special services, everyone's going to sleep on the same ground. This is what Muzdalifah looks like. And that's where people are going to collect their pebbles. Jamrat, this is where everyone goes to pelting. And I think a lot of people have fear. From those who went in the past, and if you look at the footage nowadays, it's chalk and cheese. In the past, you used to have fear when you go for Hajj, thinking of how we're going to pelt, how we're going to survive. Nowadays, alhamdulillah, there's just so many floors, so much of space. It's really, really easy. Believe you me, if you'll see the footage now, there's so much of space. Look at it, ample space. There's no need to be afraid. See all the different floors, 4 different layers of floors for you to go and pelt. This is what Mina looks from the Jamrat. And here's the Jamrat live on the day of pelting. So you can see here's the South African Hajj pelting, and look at the amount of space that is there. So don't fear, inshallah it will be easy. So you got to pelt in that wall, onto that wall. Don't throw shoes. We've seen people throwing shoes and that. Only the pebbles that you've collected you need to throw on there. Pelting. So this is again, once again, when you go for pelting, you'll always find SAHUC will accompany you on your pelting session. We have to accompany you. We'll take you to the Jamrat and we'll bring you back to your camp. There'll always be a SAHUC member in the front and at the back of your group taking you for pelting to ensure that nobody gets lost. So this is just some footage of the members that went on Hajj last year. And you can see SAHUC is accompanying them throughout their journey. And so we always keep a South African flag in the front and a South African flag at the back, so it's easy for members to identify you are part of this delegation. These are the crowds you're going to be looking at when you come out from the Jamrat. Once again, pelting, look how easy, ample of space. You've got enough time to do it. Don't panic, don't stress. Yeah, you also get hosed while you're going down to pelt, just to cool you down and to calm the nerves. SAHUC field mission and medical team members. SAHUC is again on the ground with the ministry. You can see our team members are always visible. We've got our kits on. We are there at the haram, outside the haram, doing sweeping before salah, after salah. We will be there in Mina, in Azizia. You'll always find us available to assist you. Any of your medical requirements, any of your questions, any assistance that you need, the SAHUC team is always available to assist you for any of your queries and any of your assistance required during Hajj. Even if you have a query with any operator or any disputes, bring it to our attention. We'll be there to assist you, inshallah. And one other thing, SAHUC members do not perform Hajj. We know this question comes up all the time. You guys go and you'll go with our money and you're performing Hajj. No, we do not perform Hajj. As you can see, every one of us are not dressed in ihram. So we do not perform Hajj. Departure after Hajj. You can see the Hujjaj are all smiling. They've completed their Hajj, alhamdulillah, all getting ready to come home. SAHUC members once again at the airport waiting for you before your departure to come back home. And the most important thing is Zamzam. Everybody wants a Zamzam. So there's ample Zamzam at the airport, inshallah, and everyone will get your Zamzam before you come home. Arrival in South Africa, once again, SAHUC members are here on the ground. We are here to welcome you on your arrival. And there's just some footage to show you of your family members that will be there to wait to welcome you when you come back home. SAHUC is here to assist the Hujjaj for the pleasure of Allah. If you need anything, please feel free to contact us. You've got our social media details. You've got our details on the website. Please give us a call. We're here and available from now till the day you return back from Hajj, inshallah. Shukran jazilan wa assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah, that was a good trip to Saudi Arabia, to Jeddah, Medina Munawwara, to Mecca Muazzama, going into Mina, Arafat, Muzdalifah, checking shaitan out also. Alhamdulillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all the Hujjaj who are preparing themselves to go there. This is just a glimpse of what you're going to find there, what you're going to see there. I take the honor and pleasure of calling Hafiz Ismail Kolvadia, who's been a seasoned person, who's been the head of mission for many years. And we're going to ask Hafiz Ismail to come and share his experience and come and give us some advice regarding Hajj.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. What I have to say is probably too early. We anticipate to have another roadshow after the accreditation and the acceptance and all that has taken place. Then inshallah al-Aziz, I will then outline and detail as to what the mission does, what our objectives are, and how we will be available to assist you. I think Muaz has covered quite a bit of it. They say a picture speaks louder than words. But inshallah, again, I'm just going to be very brief, hopefully not going to take too much of your time. What we have found, I think the first thing we need to understand that whatever happens in the kingdom, it is not the rules of SAHUC. It is rules and regulations that have been given to us by the Ministry of Hajj. And we basically carry out those rules and regulations. If you understand that, then I think you will have no need to be disrespectful to SAHUC volunteers on the ground. What I have learned over the years, that if we as Hajis are disciplined and we decide to cooperate with the mission, inshallah al-Aziz, there is no task that we cannot resolve in the kingdom. My recommendation to the would-be Hajis is that fly into Medina. We have found that when you fly into Medina, it is a lot more comfortable for the Hajis. I'm not in any way saying that you should not fly into Jeddah. The logistics in Medina are a lot more comfortable. The people are much more welcoming and much more warm. And the trip, the bus trip, normally in the old days there used to be only buses available from Jeddah to Medina. Now obviously you have the option of the train. That bus trip does become a bit of a strenuous one. If you're using the train, then fine, use Jeddah, but Hajj terminal can still be a very challenging situation. So our recommendation is that you try and see if you can fly into Medina. And we have found over the last 5-6 years, between 80 and 90% of our Hajjis fly into Medina, and I think it has been a very comfortable experience. So again, like I said, the primary objective of the mission in the kingdom is to keep you, the Haji, as comfortable as possible and to support you on the entire trip. Like I said again, inshallah al-Aziz, in due course, once all the logistics have been taken care of, we will have another roadshow wherein we will discuss in fine-tuned detail as to what should be done, what shouldn't be done. In fact, to an extent, we'll even tell you how to pack your bags. Now it is probably too early, because if I'm going to tell you, 2 months down the line, you're going to come back to me and tell me, repeat what you said tonight. So I take this opportunity of thanking your presence here tonight, and inshallah hope to speak to you sometime soon once all the logistics have been taken into account. Jazakallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah Hafiz Ismail. Surely, yes, we're going to have another road show where we will go into details. As Hafiz Ismail said, even pack in your bags. We will give you some advice. I know many of you are seasoned travelers, but you don't need advice from us. You can give us advice. But on this trip, we will take that opportunity of giving you advice also. I have the honor and pleasure of calling upon Dr. Razia Khan, who's been the head of our medical mission. And I must say that SAHUC's medical mission really does a fantastic job in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. If you only know the logistics in getting medicines from here to Saudi Arabia, getting it into the clinics, and how the doctors, the nurses, they operate, it's fantastic. But before I go there, I'm going to ask all of you to read 3 times Qul Huwallahu Ahad. It brings me back into memory that one of our doctors, who has been a die-hard medical mission head, Dr. Akil Token, who during the course of last year had passed away. Then we had the brother who was on the mission and he had passed away. Let us read 3 times Qul Huwallah, not only for them, but all those that have passed away. Let's give them 3 Qul Huwallahu Ahads. So until Sister Dr. Razia Khan comes up, let us read 3 times Qul Huwallahu Ahad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome you all who've taken out this time on a Friday night to be here. And I thank the SAHUC panel for allowing me to say a few words as far as your health is concerned. The last thing anybody would like to hear on a Friday night is about health conditions, because we all look forward to the weekend. I'm going to keep it very brief. Okay, so whoever has decided to go on Hajj, you are honored and privileged, and look at this as a journey of a lifetime. Very briefly, I will just touch on the challenges we face from time to time. Somehow there are similar problems year in and year out. Though the Hujjaj are different, but we do find that problems repeated. Once you have made the intention to perform Hajj, you start preparing spiritually, mentally, and physically for this beautiful journey. I suggest you please visit your healthcare provider at least 2 weeks before departing, as that can give you a clean bill of health. The people that have chronic illnesses, and I really emphasize on this, there are people who don't carry enough medication. We run into a big problem. We are limited in our resources. We are not chronic clinics. We do emergency care and we do acute care. So we ask you and we humbly request you, people that are on chronic medications like diabetics, hypertensives, epileptic, autoimmune disease, it will be good if you come with a little letter from your GP or whoever is your medical provider. You come with your letter so we know exactly what's going on. We don't keep chronic medications, by the way. The thing is, what also happens is that I urge whoever you're traveling with, be it your spouse, your brother, your sister, whoever is in your immediate company, please make sure you're packing your medication in such a way that not everything is in your luggage that gets checked in. Some chronic medication has to be with you or whoever is accompanying you. The reason for that is we've encountered numerous problems where people have come with the medication and they've either lost baggages, delayed baggages, and when they come there, they don't have the chronic medications. So please, those things are of utmost importance. I have to say one thing, and we see this from time to time. Generally, when anybody travels, we do have a problem with ourselves being disorientated. Some people, and really there's no stigma to it, you have any form of mental illness, be it anxiety, depression, whatever mental condition you have, it's paramount that you please take your medication. We've seen people who've come on and think, no, they're going to stop their medication and they've relapsed there. We do not carry any mental medication. The reason being, we're not allowed according to the rules of the government. We will then be forced to send you to hospital, which can be really tedious and very frustrating. For the female travelers, I urge you all, if you have any problems, try and see your healthcare provider so that when the time of Hajj comes, you're not stranded as far as female problems are concerned. Rest as much as possible. I cannot emphasize enough on that. If I could distribute a rest pill to each one, I would. I understand you're hyped up, you want to maximize your journey and your ibadah, but at the same time, you're there for Hajj. When you leave South Africa, you tell people to greet. You don't tell them we're going to make so many tawafs, we're going to go here, we're going to shop here. You tell each one that you're going for Hajj. That's your final destination. Let's be practical about it. We reach Saudi, it's hot. The traveling can be very strenuous. You find people don't realize that itself will create stress, tiredness. When you reach Makkah or Medina, wherever you land, it becomes very overwhelming. Some people can't even take crowds and they get anxieties. So please, that is very important. What I need to tell you, very important, whoever has chosen or has been on the list, have made up your mind, please, very, very important is walking. I cannot emphasize strongly enough on walking. And you walk with a good pair of shoes. Whatever is comfortable for you. The reason being that your feet get swollen, you get tired. We don't walk that much here. The walking is excessive. As well as the temperature is really high, we're not used to the weather conditions. I ask you, I urge you humbly, please get some good shoes, trainers, whatever you want to. Start walking at least 3 months, my apologies, 3 weeks into that shoe. The last mission, I requested people to please walk in their shoe. And guess what? I got a Haji in Medina. He came to me and said to me, whatever you asked us to do, I didn't. And you said what the consequences were going to be. He came with terrible blisters. And talking on blisters, please, 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 carry a blister package. This is the time for you to give you some tender, loving care for your feet. They carry you. They carry you on the most important walk of life. This is a walk for life. So we've got some brilliant volunteers that has together put a package for the Fit for Hajj classes. They are running this class on a Saturday, 2 to 3, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. It will be nice if you can join. Just remember, we're having it at the Lenasia Stadium. The terrain is very flat. Don't expect your trip to have a flat terrain. People twist their ankles. We have a problem with sprains. I suggest you get an emergency pack. The emergency pack would be maybe for your pains and your colds and flus, the sprains, the aches that you have. But we are there to help you. We're there to do the best that we can. We strive to do the best that we can. We might sometimes slip up, but our intention is to make your Hajj a memorable. I urge each one of you, please, you are in the blessed land. There's nothing better than hydrating yourself with Zamzam. Please do not drink the cold water. People have the very cold water, and then they come to us with a sore throat. It starts off like that. You can mix the two waters. Avoid cold drinks. Avoid juices. Tempting as they may be, watch out for your diet. So for me, in short, I'm not going to take up your time. Please make sure you rest well, you hydrate well. Small meals, and the most important thing is do not tire yourselves. Any other questions that you might have, you can leave it for a later time if we have another roadshow. But you've just been basically given the crux of this whole trip. Let it be the best journey of your life. I wish you all well, and may we see you in the land ahead. Assalamu alaikum.
Please don't go with this, Salamia. There may be some questions. Jazakallah, Dr. Razia Khan. Is there any questions that we have for Hafiz Ismail or Dr. Razia? If there's anybody who's written a question, a medical question or so, if you don't want to ask it, you don't want to write it, after the program, you can just go and whisper in her ears and ask her the question. She will give you the answers for what you should be doing on this trip. We find many people calling us and say, this is our problem. We never thought that we go in, and now we're sitting with this dilemma with my wife and all that. Please whisper to Dr. Razia Khan, and surely she'll give you some advice. And I must say that many a times we men, and I blame myself also, I'm at fault. When I go to doctor asks, what do you take? I take a pink color tablet. I don't know what the name of it and how many milligram it is, but I take 4 or 5 a day. We don't even know what we take. And we are so used to tablets that we take. When we go to the SAHUC medical mission and say, for example, we've got headaches and pains, and instead of pink color, they gave us green color. They say, no, sister, give us a pink color. My doctor used to give me pink. Brothers, sisters, surely our doctors and our nurses will give you the best. But if you want pink color ones, please take it from here. That would be better. If there's any questions, there was a question here for Shaheen. What about Hajj Badal? Please, Shaheen, that is a question that we have missed out. Please, what is it about Hajj Badal? Somebody in his wasiyat, in his will, he wrote that when I die, somebody must make my Hajj Badal. So what is it about Hajj Badal?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A person who's going to perform Hajj Badal has to be a repeat pilgrim. And our system does not cater for repeat pilgrims unless he's serving as a mahram. So obviously, if you have a male repeat who's going to serve as a mahram to his wife or his daughter or his sister or his mother, his aunt, then that particular male could obviously perform a Hajj Badal. But when a person comes and makes a request for a Hajj Badal, unfortunately, we cannot cater for that because we're going to be giving away a visa to a repeat where there are first-time visas or first-time applicants waiting in the queue. There are facilities available where workers from the Hajj operators who go, some of them are repeat pilgrims, you can make arrangements with them to go and do the necessary in terms of Hajj Badal, but that I leave you to discuss with the operator of your choice in that regard. There was another question that was asked here, and it says, we accepted on the system, however, we tried to pay and we got an error. Now, the payment system on the application process is not a SAHUC payment. It's a called pay gate. It's a payment gateway. We are not responsible for that system being up or that system being down. We can only pray that at any given time, the system is working at all costs. We had a situation a little bit earlier where a couple needed to make payment with their card. It was done by one of our staff members on the side of the hall, and alhamdulillah, it went through quite well. So please just continue trying to make that payment. If you are accredited and you've accepted, you've got a few days still to do it, so inshallah that will work. Jazakallah.
Shane, please elaborate on which vaccines are required, including COVID.
Certainly, COVID vaccinations are essential and are mandatory. You must have your COVID vaccinations, at least the 2 if you've got the booster, it is acceptable. You do not need a PCR certificate. The other vaccinations that are still required is yellow fever or meningitis, ACYW 135 strain. Those are the only other 2 vaccinations that you need, as well as COVID.
Is there any other question anybody wants to ask a question? There was a brother. He was sitting in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th row. He's gone. Not a problem. He's sorted out. How you sorted him out? You took him at the back. Oh, I see. Okay, he's sorted out. Okay, fine. Is that what you're doing also at SAHUC? Okay? Jazakallah, he's sorted out. But sisters, please, we emphasize any advice you need, besides your own GP, besides your own healthcare worker that sees to you, if you've got any questions, you may speak to Dr. Razia, and we have other sisters here who will advise you. I have the honor and pleasure to call upon Abdurrahman Daji, who is the chairperson of the Gauteng region, to pass a vote of thanks. And thereafter, I will conclude with a dua. And then you will be free to speak to all the members of SAHUC. Speak, ask your questions, ask your heart out, speak your heart out, whatever you want to know, please, we are going to be here. Abdurrahman.
Jazakallah Qari Sahib. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, my respected elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We start off by expressing sincere, heartfelt and humble thanks to Allah Almighty. It is only with His mercy, wisdom and barakah that tonight's event is a resounding success. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks in advance. We have been fortunate to have a team of very motivated and dedicated committee of volunteers serving on the SAHUC board. We cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and the willingness they have expressed to take on the completion of the tasks beyond their comfort. They have worked hard solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and to receive His unseen rewards. I, on behalf of the South African Hajj and Umrah Council, acknowledge with gratitude the management of Image Lifestyle for the use of this venue, the sound provider and operator par excellence, the presence and presentation rendered by Shaheen Asop, Dr. Razia Khan, Hafiz Ismail Kholvadia, Hafiz Muaz Kasu, and Hafiz Qasim Katrada, and the program director Kari Musa Sidat. Last but not least, all of our supporters and well-wishers. Jazakallah is such a dua that cannot be seen or touched. It must be felt by the heart. I feel honored and privileged to be afforded the opportunity to propose the vote of thanks here tonight. To each one of you present here, if time is money, then tonight you have spent millions. Jazakallah to one and all for your attending. We make dua that the messages and advices disseminated here is and will be beneficial for your travels to perform your Hajj. May I wish you one and all a safe journey home. Khuda Hafiz.
Jazakallah, by Abdurrahman, not forgetting Parvez, our cameraman. We haven't forgotten you, heck. Parvez, Jazakallah khairul jazak. اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام، حينا ربنا بالسلام وادخلنا دار السلام. تباركت ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم ثبتنا على الإيمان ومتنا على الإيمان واحشرنا يوم القيامة مع الإيمان بحرمة القرآن وبحرمة النبي آخر الزمان. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان وجعلنا من الراشدين وجعلنا من المتقين وجعلنا من الصالحين. اللهم اغفر لحينا وميتنا وشاهدنا وغائبنا وصغيرنا وكبيرنا وذكرنا وأنثانا. اللهم من أحييته منا فأحيه على الإسلام ومن توفيته منا فتوفه على الإيمان. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وسكنهم في الجنة. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وادخلهم في الجنة. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم واكرمهم في الجنة. اللهم اجعل قبرهم روضة من رياض الجنة. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الفخر وقنا عذاب الدين واحشرنا يوم القيامة مع المتقين مع الأبرار. يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. قال الله تعالى في شأن حبيب: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم بفضل سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.